Good afternoon, everyone. Respected Dean Dr. Arun G. Maya, Associate Dean Dr. Sabu KM, Chairperson Student Affairs Ms. Indu Devi, Speaker for today Dr. Nanda Kishor MS, all the HODs, faculties, and students. As directed by Central Vigilance Commission, 27th October to 2nd November 2020 is observed as Vigilance Awareness Week. Today's talk on promotion of integrity and probity in public life through citizen participation is held as a mark to observe Vigilance Awareness Week by our college. To begin with, I would like our Dean, Dr. Arun G. Maya, to address his welcome note to the gathering.
Very good afternoon to all of you. I think whether Dr. Nanda Kishor joined back, Indu?
Yes, sir. I'm very much there.
Okay. Thank you. Very good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of the Students Affairs Committee of Manipal College of Health Profession, it's a great honor for me to invite all of you to the session on promotion of integrity and probity in public life through citizen participation by Dr. Nanda Kishor MS, Associate Professor, Department of Geopolitics and International Relations, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Manipal. The observance of Vigilance Awareness Week, as per the direction of the Central Vigilance Commission, was celebrated from 27th October to 2nd November. It's a week-long activity which consists of taking the pledge, conducting various workshops, sensitization program, and public awareness. Basically, the purpose of all this is to fight against the corruption. As all of us know, the corruption is one of the major reasons for the suppression of the growth of an individual or of the country. So on that aspect, it is our responsibility to fight against corruption and also ensure the integrity and the proper integrations in the administration. Thereby, we can able to control the corruption. So it is a responsibility of each and every citizen of the country, the organizations, it may be a government or the private organizations or the institution, all of us needs to come together to fight against the corruption. On 27th October, as per the activity of the Students Affairs Committee led by Indu Tobi, we have already taken pledge by all the faculty members, the students, and the postgraduate of our institution. So today we have a very important talk by Dr. Nanda Kishor MS, is the faculty in the Department of Geopolitics and the International Relations of MAHE. In addition, I would like to highlight that Dr. Nanda Kishor is one of the important the faculty member to our institution because he has been supporting our institutions in terms of various other activities also. So on behalf of the Students Affairs Committee of our institution, I extend a very cordial welcome to you, Dr. Nanda Kishor. Thanks for accepting our invitation.
Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure.
It's my honor to welcome our dynamic chairperson of our institutional Students Affairs Committee, Indu, and entire that faculty members of the Students Affairs Committee to this seminar or the invited talk. And on this context, I would like to highlight that under the leadership of Indu, the Students Affairs Committee of our institutions is organizing various activities to the students and also providing a lot of visibility to the institutions through the social media. I extend a very cordial welcome to all the heads of the department, faculty members, and the students, and the Students' Council member of our institution to this invited talk. Once again, a very cordial welcome to each and every one of you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Mr. Binoy, Welfare Committee Coordinator, to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Nanda Kishor MS. Over to you, Binoy.
Good afternoon. Dr. Nanda Kishor MS is an associate professor in the Department of Geopolitics and International Relations and coordinator of Center for Polish and Central European Studies, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Manipal. He holds an MPhil and PhD in political science from Hyderabad Central University, Hyderabad, India, and completed his postdoc at the University of Leiden, Netherlands, with Erasmus and Mundus Fellowship from the European Union. He has been teaching geopolitics of West Asia, India's foreign policy, concepts of war and peace in geopolitics, terrorism, and asymmetric conflicts. Dr. Kishor has been working on conflict resolution, West Asia, Middle East, refugees and international law. He was a recipient of the short-term junior research fellowship from the UNHCR, Brookings, Government of Finland, and MCRG, Kolkata. He visited Hochschule University of Applied Sciences, Bremen, Germany, on a short-term fellowship by the DAAD-sponsored program of HS Bremen in 2012. He was part of the International Visitor Leadership Program by the United States during June to July 2013. He was a senior fellow at Defense Research and Studies, DRAS, in India, also a non-resident fellow of Middle East Institute, New Delhi, advisor and subject expert for Covings, a Bangalore-based risk analyst company, analyst at Islamic Theology of Counter-Terrorism, London, visiting fellow to AIDIA, Kathmandu, and also features editor of Science and Technology and Security Forum of March, MAHE. He has several publications in journals and edited volumes. It's an honor to have you with us today, sir. Over to you.
Good afternoon. At the outside, let me thank Dr. Maya, Dr. Sabu, and then Ms. Indu for a generous welcome and also inviting me to deliver this lecture on promotion of integrity and probity in public life through citizen participation. When we hear the word vigilance, fortunately or unfortunately, it sounds very alarming. That's the first point that I want to make. For the simple reason, for many of us, vigilance is scary, and vigilance also has other connotations. Many times we say there's someone who's keeping vigilance on us, right? Here, I think what this essentially means is also the vigilance that we have on ourselves. The vigilance that we are supposed to have on our surroundings, and also the way we have imagined our own lives being in public sphere. Because in nations that are smaller, there is always this opportunity where you become part of a smaller group. It's not very big, but when you are exposed to nations of this sort, let's imagine like India, where you have a massive population, you have too many other problems that are already associated with, there is always this responsibility that comes in, because you are constantly in vigilance, in the sense you are judged, you are looked up to by people, you are discussed, debated, everything. Our life itself is something that goes around in and around the idea of vigilance itself. Now, having said that, it's extremely important for us to remember and once in a while revisit the ideas, because though we think, all of us from our childhood, if we remember, our parents start off from the earliest time to negotiate with us and try telling that be honest, and tell the truth. But the same truth after a particular point of time becomes an inconvenient truth. That's when they will probably now tell convenient truth. It's that way the life begins, because it comes with contradictions. It comes with a lot of criticalities that are associated with life itself. Because as parents, we say in the beginning that always tell the truth. Then what happens is certain truths are extremely difficult to digest, and that's when we try telling them, now moderate it. And slow and steadily, what happens is once that component is contained or conditioned, then it becomes a problematic component in life. Then you're confused, because the same parents who told you tell the truth, It's the same parents who told you conduct yourself in a particular way. Now they are telling, no, 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 you have taken me in a wrong way. I didn't mean that way. Now they come with an interpretation. So then it adds to further confusions when you come into the friend circle, because not everybody likes you being very honest, though everybody views it as a value. Everybody thinks it's an amazing thing to be that way. You are great. But when you're too honest and when you tell things on face, unfortunately, it makes people uncomfortable. So it further confuses you. So we have the idea of integrity and probity getting grinded at different phases of life at different levels. But at the same time, what matters at the end of the day is the idea of self-satisfaction, because there are umpteen number of us who always feel when we tell the truth, it is that truth that makes you happy, whether it makes someone else happy or not. For a moment, it might even annoy them or anything of that sort, but in a long term, at a particular point of time, they will also realize saying that when he wasn't wrong or she wasn't wrong. They simply said what was truth at that particular point of time, though an inconvenient truth. Now, that's the idea, or that's the hiccup that we have with the idea of integrity and probity, especially when you are in public life. It becomes much more precarious. It can lead you into trouble. That's when you start taking the back step, right? It's always good to feel that way, and it's also nice to listen to when someone gives a speech or anything. In fact, we all end up sharing that on social media. We end up doing that on several places, and we also celebrate when it happens through citizen participation. We see here someone going an extra mile and doing something. We tend to love it and we share it on social media, but our activism stops somewhere there. That's when it gets into more problems. What is expected is that why that idea doesn't go one step further, right? And also why it does not stay as a celebrated component is very important. In the sense, if you heard Dr. Maya in the beginning, he said that this is about corruption. This is about many other things. Few years ago, when a political party came into being, coming as part of the crusaders who came to talk about corruption, who came to talk about, let's say, vigilance in public life. The individual himself hailed from a vigilance wing, and then there were a lot of hopes, and there was a meeting that was held in MIT Quadrangle. They invited me also as one of the speakers. And then it happened so that everybody was talking about whether there would be a success or a failure, whether there would be corruption increasing or these people will wipe out, and a lot of things were there. That point of time, I had to make an intervention, and then I asked them that how many of us who are being here, that we have not been caught by the police in front of the Manipal police station, and how many of us felt that probably I shouldn't be bribing the police personnel, but instead think that, okay, if I've committed, let it go through proper channel and let it reach the government. And how many of us ever thought that way? How many of us have thought that is also a corruption when we pay 100 rupees and then go from there? Are we not corrupting the system where after that we end up blaming the police for all the wrongdoings? At the same time, we have also been party to that particular corruption, because in India, the idea of corruption has to be at least minimum of 1,000 crores. Anything lesser than that one is not called as corruption, because it's also very silly. There are some, believe it or not, there are some economists who try to put forward this idea saying that some amount of corruption is important for an economy to flourish. If it's too clean, then there can be problems. In the sense, they say the liquidity of the finances has to happen through certain informal settings and other things, and it has to happen. So when I asked this particular question saying that, don't you think that's a problem when someone comes up or a constable comes to for the renewal of the passport, or a fresh passport is issued to you? Initially, it used to be that way. Now they have got rid of many of these components. Yet when they would come, the first and foremost thing that all of us would do is simply this way. There is a politician nearby. He used to be the member of Legislative Council. Once I was in a conversation with him. I asked him, being a public servant, because he was a member of the Legislative Council, how difficult it is to be a public personnel or someone who is into politics and is in public life and scrutiny all the time. He said it's much more difficult to survive as a politician than being something else, because everybody thinks that we make money, we have fun, and we have all sorts of pleasure and everything. But the truth is that if I want to be honest, also people don't leave. Now, because we have this idea of citizen participation, Now, citizen participation is largely in corruption practices. So when I asked him, why is it so? Why do you feel that way? He said, yes, indeed, it's the people who make me many a times to take wrong path. I asked him how. So there was a family which walked up to him asking that my son is so and so, and he is supposed to get into a particular program like this, and there is something that is required from the government side, and can you get this done for me? And this particular politician said that, why don't you just go to this particular department? There is one that is there in Udupi in the district collector's office. Then give them an application. They'll be able to do this one. Immediately an answer came from the person or the parent saying that, if I had to go through all those things and do, then why would I come to you? That means the expectation from the citizen is that their representative has to take a wrong path. That means they need to make a call to someone, or they need to ask someone else to do something else, because it is in these type of conditions. Otherwise, he becomes an extremely unpopular politician, because for them, if they cannot satisfy that citizen who's asking something that is unwarranted or something that shouldn't be done by a political person, but yet their expectation is that he is a good person only when he does my work. So the word of mouth spreads across, then he becomes a popular person. So it's not that easy to be in public life without scrutiny, and that same public life can push you into the life where you demean integrity or probity itself. I'll give you a couple of stories. It's very interesting, and then probably I'll leave few thoughts with you people, and then if anyone has any question or anything, I can as well answer. On integrity, there are a couple of stories that are very, very interesting. The first story is of Mr. or Dr. Satish Dhawan. This you might have heard in few places. Now, the Satish Dhawan, when he was the boss of the space agency in India, at that particular point of time, the mission director was Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Now, as Dr. Kalam wanted to have the PSLV launch, the first one, he was almost ready. It was to be launched, and then just few seconds before, the computer said that there is a fault, that don't launch. And then Dr. Kalam was put into a fix as a mission director. He had to take a decision. He took a decision saying that, after all, the computer is also made by the human only. So what is big deal about it? And then he went ahead with it. And the launch landed up from Sriharikota. It landed up in the Bay of Bengal. And then there was massive criticism, and immediately there was to be a press conference which had to be held. And then Dr. Kalam was also there. And then Dr. Satish Dhawan comes in, and then he tells to the whole team saying that, one, let me face the press. You don't need to. So he went up to the press. He took responsibility. He owed responsibility, saying that, it is our failure, and it is my personal failure to the large extent. And then subsequently, on the 18th of July, 1980, Dr. Kalam again fought this, and then he thought he should do this one, and there should be a successful launch. And indeed, it happened. There was an absolute success launch, and then Dr. Kalam immediately went to Dr. Dhawan and he said, sir, come and address the media. Then Dr. Dhawan said, no, now you should go and address the media, rejoice it, tell them about your success. Now, what this brings is, one is the idea of leadership. Second is also the integrity that is associated, and the probity that's associated in public life, in the sense, when it is a failure of an individual, or when the failure of a whole team, the individual took it. When the success of the whole team, he gave it to an individual and he said, now you succeeded. So this is an amazing and an extraordinary component that we need to realize here. The second is the story of Gandhi, which is called as the Gandhi's one shoe dilemma. This is a very interesting story. When he was in South Africa, at that particular point of time when he was there, the railways were very interesting component. The railways would, or the train would stop in stations only where the whites used to be there. If there were no whites, it would actually slowly move, and then people have to get in or get out, whatever the condition is. So there was this particular scenario. Mr. Gandhi, then at that particular point of time, a barrister, already had good money. He had gone through a first class ticket and everything was available with him. He had his own suit and everything. So he was having already a well-polished new shoe, for that matter. He wanted to show that he is capable of, and he is someone who has come after a good study in the UK, and he was no less to the whites. So it just happened so that the train did not stop because it did not see any white person in the railway station. And as the train was still moving, Mr. Gandhi also ran, and when he ran, it just happened so that one of his shoe fell into the track, and he had no option to leave the train, so he got into the train. Interestingly, those people who watched him getting in with a single shoe and then with a type of face that was having anxiety, they were expecting what Mr. Gandhi would do. Believe it or not, Mr. Gandhi took out the other shoe, also threw closer to that shoe itself, and people were perplexed. And then they asked him, what is this, Gandhi? You ended up throwing a brand new shoe. It's so expensive, because today for us shoe is any other bare necessity. It's not a deal at all. But for his time, it was a luxury where large number of people, especially those apartheid ones, never even had an opportunity to. They were all barefoot. That's how they were. So someone owning a pair of shoe, more so a new pair of shoe, was a luxury. And he threw that away. So people were curious. How could you do this one? Some of them knew him, and many of them did not know him. They all looked perplexed, and they asked him, how did you do this one? He said there were two possibilities. One, either I would not catch the train, which was not a possibility. I caught the train. Second is that I could have kept this with me, but after some time I would have regretted saying that one. What would I do with the single shoe? Anyway, I lost the other one, and this one would keep reminding me that I lost a shoe. So what would I do that one? It brings more misery to me. Rather than, I thought, anyway, some gangman or somebody there who comes in as part of the railways, he would find that shoe. If he finds another shoe, at least he will get a pair of shoe. So at least he will be happy, if not me. Now, this is a massive lesson. This is something that's beyond an individual's comprehension. But after all, Gandhi was also a common man. He's certainly not a god. He's like any of us. In fact, if you read his words, you will easily understand everything is a reflection. Everything is an experiment with his idea of truth. Right now, what this brings is an extreme form of integrity and probity in public life. Now, what he would gain, none of us, if given an option, I would have kept the shoe with me, I would have wailed away, or I would have thrown it somewhere else when I found it was useless. For that moment, he thought what was useful. For that moment, he thought, in which way I can be of some help to someone. So he immediately thought, probably I'm not going to get it, let someone else get it. So that's the beauty of some of these individuals who believed in that integrity, who believed probity is very, very important in public life. Because without that probity, probably we are all lost. Because probity and integrity should become part of common sense. If that does not become part of the common sense, and if it remains as an extraordinary value, if we continue to celebrate that one as something that only few individuals can do, probably it will never ever become a reality. That's a limitation we will always have, because all of us, as I told you, we get into sort of a dilemma because ethics become a part of it. We have religion that preaches some amount of it. Certain religions say certain things too. There are so many confusions that happen. What is right? What is wrong? Something right today is wrong tomorrow. There are too many confusions that come in. But yet, there is a possibility. There is a possibility where we can continue to have this one, as it satisfies us more than anybody else. That is the idea that I'm trying to talk about, because how to handle success is something that everybody knows about, but how to handle failure is many of them who have struggles with this one. Now, if there is an amount of integrity and probity, that would never ever become an issue. That would never make it a problem for our life at all, because there's one famous retailer and also a famous individual who must have heard Jack Ma. He always says that if you succeed, every mistake becomes legendary. If you fail only, people will laugh at you. But every mistake, but to take that mistake at that particular point of time, you need to have that strength, because first you need to have that integrity and probity, which you need to believe in as the most important one. It is only then something can happen. I can give you another example of such type of integrity, because it is through examples that we live, rather than if I go on giving you an ethical class here. It makes no sense to me. Vigilance comes when we can practice, when there are people in and around us who have done this one. There's a late IPS officer, a good, very, very good friend of mine, hailing from Kundapur here. His name was Mr. Madhukar, IPS. Unfortunately, he passed away when he was a deputy director of the National Police Academy in Hyderabad. Now, this individual is remembered for his idea. It was a joint operation of Tamil Nadu as well as Karnataka. It happened so that after a particular point of time, when the success happened, both the governments declared a certain amount, and there were some other things that were to be given. And then Karnataka government declared, saying that they would give a piece of land, that means a site, and also a cash prize to all the individuals who were there in an operation. Believe it or not, this individual rejected it. This individual said, we did not do anything. It was the Tamil Nadu ATS led by Mr. Vijay Kumar. They are the one who did it. We have done nothing. In fact, we failed in our whole mission. So I can't accept it. And he neither took the site nor took the cash money. He became extremely unpopular among a lot of police officers who felt that this man was trying to be that he is the policeman or he is the most ethical person or anything of that sort. But what he said was simple, that I can't live with this sin. I can't live with this problem with regard to my own morality throughout my life, that I didn't do anything but I took money from someone. And I didn't do, because that money comes from the people. It is through the citizens, or it is the people's money that comes in. After all, he thought himself as another citizen who just had a privilege to serve the people. So he said, I can't take this one. This is the same case, because for us, probity and integrity always comes with sensitivity of time. If you are not sensitive to time, if you think, okay, somebody has done something kind to me or something has to be expressed and I'll do it some other time, it makes no sense to us. This is when our integrity becomes the hallmark of understanding our own participation or being in public life. One of the other examples is Justice Verma. If you have heard of him, he is the one who gave this detailed report on the Nirbhaya case. Now, and he was also responsible for the Vishaka guidelines, which has become some sort of a beacon for a lot of women in the workplace in India. And thanks to him for all the works and the hard work that he did. Why I mentioned time is also very important. December, he was given in 2012 December. By 2013 January, exactly in a month, he submitted the report, and he saw to it that before the fire goes off, there was a necessity to bring that one and bring reforms. It is due to him and the sensitivity that he had time, which is essentially coming out of an integrity of a person, that we have something that has come in public life. That's why probably what I thought of telling is that at times it pushes us to confusion. Integrity and probity both have remained as value. They need to become part of our common sense. They need to become part of our day-to-day life. It will be uncomfortable. It will be putting us into awkward positions. But yet, all this can make our lives better, make our lives to think that way. That's why we need to keep certain things with us and forget certain things that have happened before, or forget those wrong examples that have happened. It is only then we can think that things become much, much better. Let me tell you one last story, probably that would make things much more interesting, because I always have believed that one of the best ways to take things across, to tell people, is to go through certain stories. There was this famous monk who had a lot of disciples, the younger monks, and once they were traveling. While they were traveling, it just happened so that they had to cross a small stream, but not a deep stream or anything of that sort, but they had to travel this one. They were waiting. So they happened to see a young lady, and she was in confusion. She was dressed up, and she had put on makeup, and she was wearing a new dress, and then she was confused how to cross this one, because her dress would get wet and it may get even spoiled. So what to be done? So there was a confusion and a dilemma that she was. And it is that particular point of time, the senior monk just walked up to her, lifted her, and took her to the other side of the stream, just left her and then followed. It's just confused a lot of these young monks who were with him, the disciples, that why did our teacher do? He speaks about celibacy, he speaks about so many other things, and how did he do this one? So it happens so, like the way our people follow the serials that come from Monday to Friday. Now I think it has also moved into Saturday. So every day the students after dinner started sitting together and discussing, okay, was she so beautiful that our teacher broke his celibacy and then touched her or lifted her? Was it something else? So they brought in every conspiracy that was possible, other than asking their own teacher directly. So at the end of the week, they decided that now it's beyond a level that I don't think we can carry this one. So few of them decided, and then they walked up to the teacher. And they walked up to the teacher and asked him, last week, you happened to do this one. They explained the whole act, and they said, and you never said anything to us. How could you do this one? So the teacher said, yes, indeed, I lifted her, but I dropped her to the other side of the stream last week itself, and I moved on. You people have been carrying her for the whole last week, for the one full week. Life is all about giving away or living up certain things, or forgiving, forgetting, and then fostering what is good, what is not. Because there are many occasions where we have tried showing certain integrity and probity in our public life itself, where we wanted to participate, where we also wanted to make a dent, where we wanted to contribute. There have been certain setbacks. There can be certain setbacks. It is at that particular point of time we feel disheartened about it. But it is every now and then we need to remember that integrity is about telling myself the truth, and honesty is telling truth to other people. If you remember that one, probably the very idea of why do we celebrate or why do we have the observance of Vigilance Awareness Week is taken care of. Thank you for your patient listening.
Wonderful. With the permission of Dr. Arun Maya and Indu, can I offer some comments?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Nanda Kishor, it was a fantastic speech. I think, I was enthralled with, Dr. Nandakumar, I am Dr. Rajshekar.
Yeah, I'm aware, sir. Please go ahead.
And the former dean of the college. Okay, I just sat enthralled throughout your talk. And I think, you really give the essence of the vigilance beautifully, talking about the probity and the integrity. And the story which you said, the real life stories, I think they make more impact than, you talk about it theoretically, as you rightly said about Satish Dhawan's accountability, right? Which was a testimony to the integrity, probity, as well as leadership, with when most of us, right, put the team in front when there's a mistake, and then we come to the front when there's a credit. Okay, I think that it was a wonderful thing. Then about Gandhiji's on the shoes also was fantastic. I still remember when I went to Durban, we traveled up to the railway station where, where he was pushed out of the train just because he happened to be a black, at Petersmanberg, one station. So I just went there. I still remember that. And then, of course, about the example of the IPS officer Madhukar, okay, who gave all the credit to Vijay Kumar, okay, because the operations were done by them. And of course, Justice Verma. Okay, I think, that is something which I think, should, the probity and integrity should become a part of life, should be ingrained in us, as you rightly put it. Not that we just observe the week and then we listen and then we go away, but I think we should make it a part of our own lives. And as rightly said, what you don't deserve, you don't take it. But that's the integrity. Give it to the person who deserves it, rather than you claiming the credit for you being not a part of it. I think your clarion call for the vigilance with practice, I'm sure will be well taken up by all of us at the Manipal College of Health Professions. I think, a large number of our faculty have gathered. I think they have been a part of this, listening to your wonderful speech. And I think I must thank you on behalf of everyone. And I think I only wish, as you rightly said, let the tribe of Dhawan, Gandhi, Madhukar, Verma, and the monk, okay, let that tribe increase. Let's also try to be a part of these people, at least if not the complete ones. I personally wish to thank you so much for this awakening and the essence of your speech. Thank you once again, and wonderful, really wonderful, Nanda Kishor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your thoughts. Students,
I always do that. That's my integrity. I always want to appreciate and give it to the person who deserves it. That, I think, may be one streak that I have with me in integrity and probity.
Open to you, students, if you have any questions.
I think, the students should, participate. They should at least give the feedback about what they felt about it. Because the younger generation should be able to share, what they feel about, such talks.
Sure.
At least a few of the faculty can at least interact. At least they can give the comments about what they felt about this.
Yes, Nivedita.
Yeah, so I just wanted to start by saying that the stories that you shared were actually quite inspiring. I wanted to actually start by that. Hello, can you hear me?
You're audible. Please go on.
Yeah, we all hear you. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so my question actually arises from a fact of if you witness something that's wrong. So how do you cope with the fear of facing repercussions for your honesty, in terms of trying to do the right thing?
Okay, shall I go ahead?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is exactly what I said in the beginning. If you remember, I never wanted to paint this as something that becomes an extremely ideal part. I told you the problems that are associated with all of us go through, the dilemmas and the type of issues that regularly trouble us, because you want to take a step, but then you're faced with repercussions, and you are also branded, you are judged, you are done with a lot of other things, which most of the time makes us to think that let me be normal, because already we have got into our mind that someone who does some of these things is not normal. One. Second, we also have this problem of thinking that some of these people are probably, they are much more capable or anything of that sort. I don't think that's an approach that we have always taken. That's why I said probably integrity and probity should become part of common sense. When I said that, it typically means that one. Now, for example, I gave example of Gandhi because he is the most widely respected but most widely misunderstood person. Now, Gandhi, why I also never like to paint him as a god or anything of that sort is because the moment he becomes a god, we will brand him and we will also put a frame to him and say, okay, only he can do it. The purpose of supporting him or purpose of bringing him is because probably perhaps his IQ was worse than many of ours. One of the simplest example I can give you. Once he, when he was in the UK, because he was a vegetarian, there was a vegetarian club that was started, and he was supposed to be the secretary of that one. And then his job was very simple: introduced to a small gathering, a very, very small gathering in a room, because that was the number of people who were vegetarians. And he was supposed to say, welcome to the vegetarian club, and this is our idea behind it. He was supposed to speak less than a minute or so, but it just happened so he got up and then he said that welcome to the vegetarian club, and he collapsed. He was that sort of an individual. That's why he was perhaps less than an average sort of a person. He was also an individual, if you look in, that's why I've always said, from a mediocre to Mahatma. He was a mediocre for all reasons, but he decided at a particular point of time that I will stand by my values. I will stand by my values is what he meant, that his his idea of truth. That means there are consequences. He knew the consequences. He knew the consequences standing for it. And the fear is there in everyone. But the fear is the same fear. Once it is exposed, it becomes your strength. That means once you might get bullied for something and you may fear the repercussion. But once you prepare your mind that I'm ready to take that repercussion, after that one, it becomes a habit. After that one, you don't fear for repercussions. After that one, you don't think of repercussions for that matter, because you don't anymore see it as abnormal. It's only the first time when a repercussion happens, though you are so convinced that something has happened which is part of your integrity. You have been truthful to yourself. That's why I said integrity is telling yourself the truth. That is very important. So once you're convinced, after that one, it doesn't matter to you. That's how people take it. In fact, if there is no suffering, right, there would not been revolutions. If people would have feared repercussions, there would have not been public life at all for us. In fact, we have been we have been recipients, or we have been enjoying with from the sufferings of other those who are ready to take up, who are ready to sacrifice. Otherwise, probably would have been a colonized country only. So it does not always happen as a group. It does not always, the results, or for that matter success, always does not come at the first instance. In fact, success most of the time comes at the last, or it tests you so much, it tests your mettle. So once if you are exposed to it and you are making, or you're preparing yourself to face the repercussion, second time you don't call it as repercussion, you call it as a new normal. That means you are ready to take it. So it is that first time that makes you to fear, because you are also seeing other examples of someone else being punished, or someone else being branded, someone else being judged. But you don't need to fear that one. Once you cross that threshold, after that one, it does not any time sound to you that it is something phenomenal. You just feel that it's part of you. It becomes part of your appetite. That's my answer, because the first time preparation is still in the hand of the individual. It cannot be done by others. Others can only inspire you. Others can only help you to say this is the right thing. The same people who might have accused you may come back to you one day and say, probably you were right. So it is that value that I'm talking about, where you need to prepare your mind. There's no instant answer here. There is no instant solution to this also. It is about a process where you prepare your mind and then be prepared for the first consequence. If you think that there are no consequence, probably it may leave you in an extreme shock. So you need to be aware of the consequence, but at the same time, get used to consequence, or face the first one, rest become part of your life. Thank you.
Very well said. Very well said, Nanda Kishorji. I think in this context, I also wish to share something which is a real incident which happened with my younger brother. I think all of you know my younger brother, Colonel Prakash Chandra, who is the Director of General Services at the university. Am I audible?
Yeah, sir, please go ahead.
Okay, so it so happened that he was posted in the Naushara sector, that is the Pakistan border, when he, being from the intelligence corps, he had gone along with a team of soldiers and his 2 IC. I think they went into the Pakistan border, and then they had successfully foiled an attempt by some infiltrators and all that. But the first shot was fired by one of the Jawans, that is one. He was just a Havildar, not even Havildar. Okay, and then when they came back successfully, then they said a Sena medal had to be given, and then naturally the person who led the team, that is that time is the Major Prakash Chandra, was to be given the Sena medal, but he went up and told his commanding officer that, no sir, I don't deserve this, because I only planned and took them inside, but the first shot was fired by this Nayak or somebody, so he must get the Sena medal, for which he became the butt of joke even amongst his own officer. They said, Are, you're a fool, man. You could have got the SM. Why did you give it to him? He said, when I don't deserve it. Okay, that person deserved it more than me. So that's something which I know personally. But if you ask him, he will say, he will not share with you this one. But I know about this. So I said, it requires that much of a mettle in the person to accept integrity or probity, whatever you say. That I think makes you a person of steel. So I think I very well endorse, what you said, it should come from within, from you, from the person, not from somebody else. So the starting should be from you. Very rightly said, Nanda Kishorji.
Thank you, sir.
Students, do you have any queries, any questions, or do you want to give any feedback? You're welcome.
Indu, we must thank you for making this possible. And get the right person to speak to us.
I think we don't have much questions further. So, respected Dean, Dr. Arunji Maya, today's distinguished speaker, Dr. Nanda Kishor, our founder, Dean Dr. B. Rajshekar, my dear colleagues and my dear friends. I extend my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Nanda Kishor for an inspiring session. We have a lot of appreciation for your spontaneous oration. On behalf of the students, I thank the for his support, and we are delighted to have your presence, Dr. Founder Dean, for your presence, and all my colleagues for joining. And dear friends, thank you so much for have a good afternoon. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Nanda Kishor, once again. Thanks for an excellent presentation, and thank you, Indu and entire team, for a well-organized session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. Take care, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Indu. Thank you, Indu. Bye-bye.